Birmingham, for people that do not know it, is the second biggest city in the United Kingdom, and it is in the middle of England. It's a long way from the sea, as much as you could get far away from the sea in England. It was a very industrial city. We still make lots of things in Birmingham, but it has moved on much more, like so many former manufacturing cities, towards a service economy. Birmingham today is, after London, the most multi-ethnic and multicultural city in England. We have many migrants who have come here more recently to Birmingham from Kurdistan, from Somalia, from Bosnia, Kosovo and elsewhere. But until the Second World War, Birmingham was a very English city. Indeed, it was not only an English city, it was very much a city embedded within its region. There were two major centres of migration for the Italians of Birmingham. A very small number of families, perhaps no more than a dozen, came from Friuli in the north. And they settled separately away from the majority of the Italians who came from a specific part of Italy, which is an area in Frosinone, in the Camino Valley. And like many migrants today, they didn't expect the people of their host city to know where they came from. So a lot of people of Sikh and Hindu background in Birmingham are from the Punjab, but they will say they are from Jalandhar, which is the big city. They are not actually from Jalandhar, they are from the small villages and towns around Jalandhar. Most West Indian migrants would have said they came from Jamaica, but from Kingston in Jamaica, when actually many of them were from Barbados, or St Kitts or Nevis, or from the rural parts of Jamaica itself. Similarly, the Italians were told by their parents, the Italian Brummies were told by their parents, we all come from round Sora. And Sora is the main town in the district. It's the main city that people are drawn to. But the Italians of Birmingham mainly came from three communes just to the south: Atina, Gallinaro and Piccinisco. It is very important to bear in mind that the words that I'll be speaking of Italian Brummies are the words of second generation, the first people born in Birmingham. They were not taught Italian by their parents. Their mothers and fathers did not want them to know Italian. They wanted them to speak only English so that they would be able to get on. Moreover, the older first generation of Italians spoke what they were told was a dialect called Nobladar, the Neapolitan dialect, but it was very specifically a dialect tied in to the Camino Valley. Very good friend of mine was a man called Mickey Vallanti, and the story he was told by his grandmother in broken English and him understanding only a few words of Nobladar was that Vallanti means that they were flyers, that they once flew. And his older sister, Beatty, explained to me that her grandmother, the lady on the right, dressed in the traditional rural costume of the women of the Camino Valley, very rare photograph, very lucky to have this one, recalled that the difference between Birmingham, for all of its poverty and pollution and problems, was that the bread was better. That was how she tried to get across to her grandchildren. The bread was better. She said it used to be black bread in Italy. Now, whether or not it was black bread, it probably wasn't. But in her granddaughter's mind, the bread was black because that signified the poverty of the region from which the family had to leave to find work. Thank you, David. They had been before. And it is with the Pagets, the Panacci family from Sora, there is a lot more to talk about, how the Italians were treated, how they saw themselves, other jobs that they were involved in, terrazza flooring in particular. But it is with the Panachis that I would like to finish, because the lady here in the middle in the white shirt is Angela Ward. Her father was a Panachi. Her grandfather was Giuseppe Panacci, who we saw earlier on, his daughter, talking about the life they had in San Vincenzo. And in 2007, Angela and her husband went looking for the Panachis in San Vincenzo. And they went to Sora, a big town, and they went to the town hall, and nobody had heard of the name Panacci. But somebody had said, she said San Vincenzo, and they said it is just to the north. And there is the valley in which San Vincenzo is. And Angela started to talk to a woman in the country lane. And she said Panacci, and the woman said, I am a Panacci. And you can imagine how emotional that must have been. And she had a photograph. The husband, Luigi Panacci, came down. She told them about her grandfather. They had, unfortunately, no memory or no photographs. But Angela took back with her some soil from Sora, from the Camino Valley, to scatter over the grave of her father and her grandfather. And so the legacy of those Italians that left looking for work and a better future carries on in the knowledge that their grandchildren and great-grandchildren are aware of where they come from and the debt they owe to those people who travelled such a long way and gave so much to the city I love. Thank you.